Hey there, you know those letters in video game covers? Yeah, I know, there's too many letters. But that's a topic for another time. I'm talking about these big, bold letters in the corners, like... I think they're trying to tell us something. Maybe it's a code, or maybe it's an acronym. And if we take all the letters and just decode it, we get... Enjoy everything 10 times more addictively. Well, don't mind if I do! Oh, It's a rating system? That was more of a mild suggestion than a law. But I mean, these ratings are the reason why little Timmy can't buy the new Call of Duty or Grand Theft Auto by himself. He needs Dad. So, how did we get here? I ask myself the same question every day. It all started back in the 70s. Games had advanced beyond this, so they were capable of looking closer to this. The problem was that the closer we were to violence and sex. I've already been a teen, I don't need to go through that again! You see, ever since the dawn of time, mankind has decided to love, cherish, and f***ing despise entertainment. I swear, look online and in the news, most times when a game makes the news, it's to complain about the level of violence or sexual content. The first big example was the arcade game Gotcha with its... unique controllers. Imagine you're an arcade owner in the 70s. You order the latest Atari unit, and instead you get a game with breast controllers. Then you line up to play it and... This isn't what I signed up for! I signed up for sex! Death Race in 1976 tasked you with running over gremlins. The 80s had Custard's Revenge. You know, it was doing its thing, raising controversy, which led to Atari trying to sue the developers. Well, the 90s is when it happened. Back when Sega was calling Nintendo pussies. You see, we came a long way from Atari, and now we have 16-bit graphics, and you know, with twice as much bits as the last console comes twice as much controversy. 1992 was a big year for games. We got Super Mario Kart, Sonic 2, Kirby's Dream Land, and just a plethora of controversies. The biggest of which was Mortal Kombat. Street Fighter 2 was a massive success, and as such, many fighting games followed suit soon after its release. And to stand out, Mortal Kombat went with blood, and lots of it. That got a lot of people into a frenzy, but what made that 10 times worse was the home release of Mortal Kombat. At the time, Nintendo had a lot of censorship on their home console games. While to stand out, Sega had allowed more mature content than Nintendo. So with Mortal Kombat on the SNES, you got sweat and tears, while in the Genesis version, with the use of a cheat code, you got blood, sweat, tears, and lots of gore. That was not the preferred version of Mortal Kombat for the US government. The other big controversy was with Night Trap, which was an FMV or full motion video game for the Sega CD add-on for the Genesis, where you had to save girls from these gremlin-looking f***ers called augurs. So you might be thinking, where's the controversy here? Well, it all came from one game over scene where, well... This is what got everyone so pissed? Man, if they hated this, then nobody showed them a horror movie. The worst part is that if you get this scene, you're reprimanded by the game for not saving them. But no! Who cares about context? Let's blow this out of proportion and blame the games for corrupting the youth. It got so bad that the US government jumped on the bandwagon, and thus, in 1993, a court hearing happened that was centered on violent video games and the possible formation of a ratings board akin to the likes of the MPAA. The main talking points were Mortal Kombat, Night Trap, Lethal Enforcer, and Doom. Now for Doom and Mortal Kombat, fair enough, they were definitely more mature than other games. Now for Lethal Enforcer and Night Trap, the examples they used were f***ing asinine. This can't be a good sign. Lethal Enforcer was all about you shooting criminals as a police officer, and you were actively penalized if you shot civilians. While with Night Trap, they took the aforementioned bathroom scene out of context and made this game out to be the devil by saying it was promoting violence. Howard Lincoln from Nintendo went so far as to say that Night Trap would never, ever, ever appear on a Nintendo system. Ever.
And let me say that for the record, I want to state that Night Trap will never appear on a Nintendo system. Obviously, it would not pass our guidelines.
Well, I guess modern Nintendo is way into corrupting the youth. Nintendo got some criticism, but Sega... Oh, poor Sega. Sega got shit on throughout this entire hearing, with them bringing up Mortal Kombat, Night Trap, and Sega's own rating system. Basically, it was introduced after Night Trap came out and had 3 ratings. GA for general audiences, MA13 for games intended for audiences 13 and up, and MA17 for audiences 17 and up. They saw it as Sega's way to mitigate the controversy and thought it was too vague. How ironic. As a result, it added up to Sega hating the day December 7th, 1993. At the end of this hearing, and a second hearing later on in April of 1994, the Entertainment Software Ratings Board, or the ESRB, was founded later that year. Now, if a game wanted to be sold in retail stores like Walmart, they have to get certified and rated by the ESRB. A game developer would have to do 2 things to get their game rated. First, they have to fill out a questionnaire detailing relevant content in the game, like the level of violence, is there gambling, is there nudity? Basically, could dad look and not go, "Are you watching porn?" Then they have to send in a video of typical gameplay, some missions, cutscenes, and basically the raciest things of the game. From there, 3 raters will review the content and give their rating. They launch with 5 ratings. Early childhood, which was basically for education games and preschool games. Kids to adults, which later became everyone. Teen, mature, and adults only. Later on in 2005, we got a new rating, everyone 10 and up as well. Alright, so we have this original design, which is cute. They have this unique feeling about them. Then in 1999, they changed it to all black letters. Then in 2013, we got a slight design change. I swear, this is like a really obscure spot the difference game. Under each rating, there's different content descriptors saying why the game is rated what it is. If you have no description, best case, you're an education game. Worst case, you're shovelware. Like, the Bible game deserves at least a comic mischief. Over the past few years, ratings have been a lot more M-centric. Like, I can count the amount of T games on my hands. We either have E or M. Sometimes there's an E10 in there. Then we have 2 ratings that don't dare to show their faces in your local Walmart. EC and AO. Early Childhood was discontinued back in 2018 due to not many titles ever using it, and those games ended up going to E. I couldn't find how many games ended up as EC, but it makes sense because rarely did I ever see games with this rating, even in devoted game stores. Now, Adults Only is an entirely different story. If your game has this rating, retailers won't carry it. Neither will the big 3 console manufacturers. And so you're f***ed. Ultimately, they'll have to make some tweaks in order to get an M rating so they can actually sell some copies. Not many games end up getting this rating, however, because most of the games that actually do have this rating are gambling games, or they're just too sexy for the ESRB. Like, what did you expect from the joy of sex and all-nude cyber? I'd say one of the most recent games that got the rating was Agony. It was just too damn violent for them. And so the devs had to tone down the violence so they can get an M rating. Now I can play my sex-filled game on the go! However, just because a game has one rating, doesn't mean it can't switch ratings. The Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion was originally rated T. However, people being people, made a nude mod for the game. Turns out, the files used for the nude mod were locked out art files in the PC version of the game. Firstly, why the hell did Bethesda make nude art of their characters? Secondly, why and how was this left in the game? And thirdly, where can I find it? Just ask him for a friend. Once the ESRB found out, they decided to change the rating for all versions of the game to M. If you haven't noticed, the ESRB really hates sex. The most infamous example of this was Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. People were fishing around the files of the PC version and found an unused minigame which would later be known as Hot Coffee, where CJ and his girlfriend have sex. As a result, even though the minigame is not normally accessible and can only be played through hacking the game, and the game is already rated M, but who cares? Because they changed the rating to adults only. It's okay though, because CJ is back, everyone! Rockstar ended up re-releasing the game with no sex minigame included, and it went back to being rated M. The problem that I have with the ESRB is that they're inconsistent. Like, games like Indigo Prophecy go from being adults only one year to being M another. Like, seriously, how the hell does Smash Bros. Brawl get a T rating? This is E10 at max. There's also the growing market of digital games, where some kid can just get a gift card or something and buy a game digitally so they don't have to worry about their parents' permission, or hell, they can just use Game Pass and experience sex the way it was meant to be experienced. And on platforms like Steam, games are not required to be rated by the ESRB. Such games like the Adults Only Hatred, where you run around and kill everyone in sight, or all of these games. Recently, with the addition of online multiplayer and the age of loot boxes, the ESRB had to find a solution to rate all these games with content that can't be shown in a video. And what did they come up with? A fucking skin tag that just won't come off! Okay, I meant vague, but this is just downright cryptic. What even is this? Like, half the time I forget it's even there. I'm sure everyone's had their horror stories of people online on Xbox or PlayStation, and I get that advertising this to parents and finding a solution to this problem isn't easy. But I'd say that sometimes the people playing online can be worse than the game itself sometimes. And don't even get me started on in-game purchases. I think we've already established that I'm a f***ing sucker. But like, this can mean anything. Expansions, skins, loot boxes, in-game currency. Games like Madden have you opening up packs to get better versions of your favorite players, and you can buy packs for free on money. I mean, they can prey on people. Some people just can't help themselves and become addicted to it. Plus, some E-rated games are more gambling focused than games like GTA and Red Dead Redemption, which feature poker. Like, I always wanted a casino in my basketball game. Take all of my money. I just think there has to be a better way to get this point across than whatever this thing is. Despite what you think of them, however, the ESRB is here to stay. I mean, the MPAA has had similar flaws and it's still around. The thing is that a lot of controversy over video games being too violent, it's not the game's fault, it's not the ESRB's fault, it's the parents' fault who don't try to monitor the media their child consumes. Like, why is it Call of Duty's fault that it's too violent for their children? Not every single game is going to be like Mario, Kirby, or Animal Crossing. Some games are going to tackle more mature topics because that goes for every single medium. But no! It's the game's fault, not the fucking idiots who don't read the labels on every game or research what their child wants to play. I just wish that these goddamn morons would pay attention and try to parent their children instead of blaming the games, so we wouldn't be stuck having these stupid ass conversations! Oh no.